Hi, everybody, and welcome to Genuine Unintelligence. Trying out some new software today, so let's hope everything goes accordingly. We're going to do a full episode tomorrow. I mainly wanted to try this out, do some reviews and stuff real quick with just me. As you guys know, I have trust issues, so I'd rather not completely mess up a 2 hour episode of greatness of all of us for without testing out the new software first. So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to go through some reviews. I'm going to see how this works out, and we'll just see what happens. But I think we'll be good. So let's hope that's the case, and we'll get this going. And so I wanted to do a couple movie reviews just to kind of do that. I'm not even for sure, to be honest, which microphone I'm recording off of since it's being weird. So I'm just going to use both right now, just in case. So starting with Creed 3, went and saw that on Tuesday. So I'll try to keep it spoiler free. Overall, movie was decent. I wouldn't say it was great by any means. Uh, I don't think it would be considered great. You know, it did have a story. It did have certain elements to it. It's not like it was bad or anything, but it feels very anticlimactic. So it just kind of they did build a story. You had some feels in there. You had some feel good moments. You had some feel bad moments. Had elements of things of a great movie. It just didn't seem to kind of pull it all together. And then once it was there, it was just kind of like it was already over with. So I would give it probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. Um, I obviously if you like the series and everything, Creed or Rocky, I would still watch it. So you get some closure out of the deal. But I mean, it's not Rocky 4, which I know Rocky 4 is just a complete montage, but it works. So what can I say? The I feel like the acting was good. I feel like the villain, I guess I would call, or the the quote unquote bad character, they kind of, I guess in a way, they got redemption and everything, so that's good. But they didn't really, in the end of the day, the guy really wasn't that bad, if that makes sense. Almost like just like a half hearted villain in a way. So, yeah. And I mean, the fight scenes, were all right. It was kind of filmed. They kind of went with a different direction this time, so I don't know, if there's a reason or whatever. But I think that's probably kind of why it was so anticlimactic in a way. So, yeah, I would say still give it a watch. It's definitely worth watching, of course. And this is, of course, just my opinion. So I always recommend watching anything, anyways, even if I say it sucks. So now, I went and saw Scream 6 Thursday. I'm gonna tell you, I think I can speak for Chuck too. He's not here because he was there. Scream 6 was, to be honest, it was fantastic. Probably the best one since the first one, and that's pretty high praise. I mean, I'm a horror fan, obviously, and we've got that coming down the pike. I'll talk more about the plan for that and everything else before too long, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse there. But yeah, uh, action packed, different approach right out the gate. Had all the elements we were looking for. Different settings. Not the same kind of. While it is a little bit of a paying homage to Scream 2 in a way with the setting, it was still different. So that was nice and fresh for a change. They did a very good job not making it obvious who, you know, the people, the killer or killers were. I don't want to give any spoilers, so the elements of that um, just kind of it went really hard right out the gate. It's not all just jump scares. There was plenty. There's really just about if you're into horror or slasher movies, it had pretty much everything that you would need. So I recommend watching it for sure. I would give it like an 8, 8.5, maybe even 9. Like it was a really solid film for me, and I think it is a sequel to 5, and 5 in itself was pretty good. They've went back to the roots. Forgive me, I don't know the other main character lady's name is. I know Jenna Ortega is in it. That was who to be honest, I haven't even watched Wednesday, which is what most people know her from. I knew her from X and then from Scream 5. So that's where I've known her from. Both her and the other leading lady both did great jobs. And, some twists in there. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, said if you like horror, go check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. uh, Knock at the Cabin. I think we talked about it briefly, maybe not. I can't even remember. We saw this back in February, but M. Night Shyamalan, as you guys know, The Village is on my worst list movie, but that's just me. Doesn't mean anything. I'm not anybody important. I don't. He does great work too, but so I think the movie was pretty good in itself. To be honest, I wish I had put the pieces together with what I was watching from the beginning, which you could probably say for a lot of his works. Definitely creative, keeps you on your toes. You know, you don't really know what's going on, and even then, they don't just spell it out to you. So I appreciate that. He respects the audience's intelligence and, understands for them to figure it out. So I appreciate that. And it was good. Like I said, it keeps you on your toes. It's not obvious. Keeps you engaged. I think Batista did a really good job. Overall, good movie too. So, as much as I dish it out about how I didn't like The Village, I thoroughly enjoyed Knock at the Cabin. And regardless of that, I always go see his work because I know I'm going to have an impression at his work, whether one way or another. So I want to give that a good review. I'd probably give that like a 7.5. It's pretty solid outing. I don't think you'll be disappointed to watch that either. Uh, Ant Man. Uh, I can't even remember the full title. Ant Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania. I don't know the full name. I'm sorry, but yeah. So this movie, I feel like it definitely had some good parts. The scenery and everything was beautiful. Uh, there's some humor in there. I always like that. I think Paul Rudd's a really good actor. Oh, it's just called Ant Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Okay, so I had the full title. I don't know why I always thought it was more. But yeah, so had good action sequences, had some throwbacks to the original movies, had some character growth. Um, you know, I think they're setting up the new Marvel, the new MCU villain moving forward. I'm assuming that it's going to go through to Avengers. Just my guess of where they're going to go with it, with the introduction of the villain there. So I think that could go good places. It's kind of a starting point. Pretty solid all around. Nothing like just popping off the charts. Fantastic. Some of the parts are a little bit cheesy, but that's fine. I mean, still Marvel we're talking about here, so it's not out of the question or anything. But I would give it probably a 7. Uh, you know, I've always tried to give Ant Man as much credit as possible. So uh, it was good. I'm stumbling over my words here, but it was a solid effort. Action sequences were good. The CGI was on point. Nothing really wrong with it. It's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to follow, or not the movie, but I mean, sometimes it's hard to follow if it's another. I think everything's just kind of reeling a little bit after Endgame, just because it's kind of a reset. So a lot of these, characters and stuff are just finding them trying to go back to their old stories, and that's not bad because they deserve the continuation. And I'm assuming somewhat of an end to their at least individual stories. So overall, it went pretty well. I recommend watching it if you're into Marvel superhero. If you're not in a Marvel superhero, then maybe you like looking at some of the cool scenery and stuff. You may like it. It's kind of hard to say, but they're pretty decent outing overall. Another movie saw recently was Megan. Obviously, this is a little bit of play off Child's Play, which is one of my favorite franchises. I didn't know what to expect going in as a PG-13 movie because sometimes horror movies, it's not that everything has to be so crass and bloody and all that stuff, but sometimes PG-13, unless it's like a supernatural horror, there's just kind of limits what they can do. So I went in, with mediocre expectations, especially with the content, and I think it was a pretty good movie itself too. They did good with the CGI. The story is pretty decent. There's some motive there. So I think they overall did a pretty good job. I'll still give the leg up to Child's Play because obviously I'm growing up with Chucky, still the favorite. I think they could go there with Megan. I think they would probably have to go to. I mean, it was decently dark. It's not like it was a kiddie movie or anything, but I think that would help unlock some things just to go because you can only go so far when you have to follow the rating and everything too. So, but if you like horror movies, again, I say check it out. There's been a slew of actually good horror movies lately. It's kind of amazing. It's kind of like a revival of different horror stories with Barbarian, which was fantastic, Smile, which is fantastic, and then we have Scream, Knock at the Cabin, and then Megan here, and then I know Evil Dead comes out next month. Hype for that. It'll be weird to see Bruce not in it, and then also it not be a comedy since it's been a comedy since the first one, so that'll be a little bit different, just to kind of a change of pace. But yeah, I'm excited. As a huge horror fan, I soak all that stuff in. I love it. So looking for more of it. I'm pretty sure Megan is already on Peacock, so you don't have to even buy it to go watch it if you have Peacock. So there you go for that. Worth a watch. I'm assuming there's going to be a sequel. Anxious to see where it goes and hope the best for him. And then I'll do just one more kind of review. I just wanted this to be kind of short because I want to see what happens with this so I don't waste this again, like I was saying. So I've been playing Hogwarts, among many other things, Hogwarts Legacy, that is. And we all had pretty high expectations. I tried to temper mine. To be honest, I still haven't beaten it because I've gotten pretty lost in the world. I mean, in a good way, just kind of enjoying and exploring and everything else. And it's solid. It follows the lore. The the fighting and action is actually better than I thought it was going to be. I'm not bummed. I'm not really that bummed that there's no Quidditch. It would have been cool, but then, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So overall, I've got a pretty decent amount of hours into it, but I'm trying to 100% everything, so I'm taking my time. And I got to say, it's a pretty thorough effort. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Probably going to win Game of the Year, maybe. We still got Dead Island 2, Starfield, maybe, if it actually comes out this year. It's supposed to come out in September, so especially, I would say Hogwarts if you're not into the wizarding world or Harry Potter, it's probably not your cup of tea. But if you're a fan of Harry Potter and you're on the fence, definitely pick it up. They do justice to the stories, and you can tell the game was made with love. Everything's correct. Uh, the school, all the landscapes, they took their time to make sure the details are right. So definitely check it out. We will be back again tomorrow with the big episode. So hopefully we should have everyone here. Hopefully this episode goes through good. And thank you for tuning in. And we will, or I will be back with everyone else shortly. Thanks, guys.